So this is an introduction to DIY projects. So something which is, as it suggests, do it yourself. But there's a lot of things that we'll be covering in these projects. Now these are going to be a lot of assignments, but will give you a very practical hands-on experience on multiple sort of projects. So this is something that Sanjeev explained, very similar to what he explained. So we've got multiple availability zones. We've got public subnets, private subnets, and already Sanjeev spoke about what to put in public and what to put in private. But this is a general architecture of how the application should be. So you've got public subnets where you can put in your application load balancers, you can put in your web servers, anything within your application would be residing into your private subnets. So that can be your app servers, any private EC2 instances, and then your databases would be in a secure subnet. So this is a very holistic architecture that applies to any kind of project that you work in any organization. Oh. Now, what are we trying to do here? So I've got a list of many projects which I'll introduce you to. But what we want you to do is to get a flavor of all these tools in a practical way. So we've got in source code. So, and there are many more tools which are available in the market, but these are a list of selected tools with which we want you to do the projects which I'm going to talk about. So for source code, we have got GitHub and GitLab. So these are just a list of selected tools. And the projects that you will be doing, I would like you to use each and every tool in multiple projects. So we've got a list of 50 projects. Don't get bogged down by it. You can only pick and choose whichever you want to do, like 3 or 4 or 5 projects, just to get comfortable with all these technologies. But in a nutshell, you have to use all these technologies in any of the 5 projects that you are doing out of the 50 that I'm going to refer to. So source code, it can be on GitHub or on GitLab. For CI, the 3 tools that we recommend is Jenkins, GitLab, or GitHub Actions. For DevSecOps, so we have got SonarQube, Privy, Scout Suite, and Claire. These are the 4 SecOps tools. Continuous delivery, we've got Jenkins, AWS Code Deploy, GitHub Actions, and GitLab. So all these 4 can be used for continuous delivery. Infrastructure as code using Terraform, CloudFormation, artifact management. You can use Docker Hub to store your Docker images. You have Artifactory and Nexus, which you can use to create the repositories. The deployment targets, if they are containerized, so that can be your Beanstalk, Minikube, of AWS EKS, Fargate. Fargate is your serverless. And similarly, in Azure, you can use your AKS and containers. Your Beanstalk can be used for deploying web application if it is not containerized. Once you have your images up and running, so the images can be scanned using Sneak, Aquasec, or JFrog X-Ray. Your GitOps, you have got Argo CD, Flux CD, Jenkins X, and Helm charts are used in order to do some more orchestration to your Docker images and the Docker deployments. For monitoring, we've got CloudWatch, Prometheus, Grafana, and there's one more addition to it as Zabbix. Now, why I'm telling all these tools? So there are a million other tools that you will find, but these are the primary important tools which are used in most of the large organizations. So if you have a flavor of using these tools, then you are very much covered from any sort of interview, and I think you will be excelling in any sort of interviews once you have a hands-on experience. So the next set of slides, and I would first like to go on to projects. So I've got a list of around 50 projects. Now these projects are not created by myself. So I did a compilation of from the internet and so these projects contain a problem statement, and there is one way that they describe how to do it. So if you see in here, I've got a list of 5 pages. So project 1 till 50, right? Now we can go and have a look at a couple of projects and what they mean, how they are currently being done. So let's look at any of these projects in here. So these are all internet based. I cannot vouch that they work, but I'm pretty sure that these projects would be working as they have got any project that you see in here in the list. It contains a very detailed steps. So as I said, there are multiple tools that you can use. Now these projects are done using one of the ways and using one of the either one of these tools. So let's say you've got a project called deploy a Reddit clone web app. So if you go through these all these steps, so it will exactly give you the steps of how do you deploy a Reddit clone, right? So it will contain all the different exact commands. So if you're just following these commands, these applications will get deployed. So just an example of that. So it contains screenshots, it contains exact the commands. If we just run these same commands, the project will get deployed. But we don't want you to do it this way. So let's look at another one. So similarly, another one, this project. So this project is more about the DevOps monitoring project. So in here, if you go and see, it will tell you the exact steps how to do it. So go to the AWS console, create an instance. So it gives you the exact steps on how to do a project. But we want you to take these projects as a problem statement and do it in your way, because it's very easy to just do a copy paste from here and get your project working. This is not the idea behind it. If you look at, let's say, there's another project in here. It's a Netflix application. So it's a copy of Netflix application. So this particular article will give you exactly what you need to do. So go to AWS, create these AM using use create these type of machines. What you need to install, where you take the Docker images from. It contains exactly the Docker file that you need to do. So the idea is not to just take it directly and just run it. The idea is to use these DevOps tools in addition to it. So what we just saw in there. So if you have a GitHub repository, so this particular Netflix project might be using Jenkins, might be using GitLab. You need to do it the other way. So if it's using Jenkins, probably you start taking it from GitLab. You integrate with GitLab. This Netflix project will not be using any of these SecOps tools. So you need to integrate either of these tools. So you can just do a cross check of you do like GitHub from you pick up your tools from any of these streams. You take GitHub, then you take GitLab, then you might take SonarQube, then you can go for GitHub Actions. You can do CloudFormation or Terraform, and then you can use either Docker Hub or you can install Artifactory and store images here. You can deploy it in EKS, or you can deploy it in Azure AKS, then use Sneak, use Flux CD, and then monitoring. Now, because there are n number of projects, you don't need to do all these tools like from any of these teams. So for example, let's say if you're using source code, you can use your CI. You might choose to skip SecOps in this project, go for continuous delivery. You might choose to skip infra as code, but you have to do something like pick at least 5 or 6 streams for any of these projects, and you have to do multiple projects in here. All right. So now, how do we want you to do these projects? So if you look at any of these projects, so which we go in there, so you will see that there will be a GitHub repository link there. So for example, like click here for the repository link. You'll find all the source code corresponding to it. So this is all public source code. You will have to take this source code in order to actually start working with that project, because this might contain your Docker file. How do you do a build? So for example, you have a Docker file in here. Now you might start up with the same Docker file, or you might want to edit it depending on how you're using all the different applications and how you are integrating it. but this is a base way to start. So what we will do here is we don't want you to just fork a repository out of it. So we do have our GitHub organization. So I've created a GitHub organization with DevOps Cloud Labs. So this particular organization, you will have to request access from me. So all you need to do is let me know your GitHub handle. So for me, it's Saurabh Porwal. So whatever is your GitHub handle, you just need to let me know that, and I'll grant you access to this repository. So what you need to do here is, once you have access to this repository, you will be taking this particular repository, you will be cloning it in your local, and then you will upload a fresh copy of it in your private repository, which you have created here. In the meanwhile, any questions so far before I proceed with this?
What is the sequence of project to start? Let's say if I am a fresher, right?
Yeah.
And I need to start. From where shall I start?
So there's no sequence to it. So all these projects are random. What they have in common is they're all using CI and CD techniques. What you need to do is just don't copy the projects, because copying them and run is more like just copying the commands and then running it in your EC2 instance, or running it in your Docker. So what you need to do is you need to use these tools, and all these projects are pretty similar in nature, but they all use different kind of CI profiles and different kind of CD profiles. They do not have any integrations with SecOps. Currently, they are not using infrastructure as code. They're not using any container scanning. Probably there is no monitoring involved in it. Even GitOps is missing out of them. So these projects will just stand up as a problem statement to you. The idea behind using any of these is so that you know how it is done. So if I just give you a problem statement to do DevOps monitoring, then you would be very confused as to what does it mean by it. So there is one way in which it has been mentioned that this is how it needs to be done, but you need to do it in a different way using the other tools. There is no particular sequence. I'll give you a list. I'll give you this presentation after this session. And what you need to do is pick and choose whichever project you like it. So the target is that you need to complete 5 projects. Probably take your time. There's no hurry to it, but I would expect that a project to be completed in 3 weeks or so. Yeah, and that should give you plenty of time to integrate the different tools as well.
So basically, we wanted something which is slightly working in nature, which is available online, and we created all these from different sources. But we don't want to use the specific tools that they are using. We want to just take the idea and add additional tools to make it more complex. So whether you take project 1 or 50, you have to add additional tools to it, additional flavor to it, and just take it as an ingredient, as a starting point that this is a project I want to take. I'm probably working on EKS, so I'll take a EKS project, or I'm working on Kubernetes, so let me take this project as a reference, because it's probably working in nature for some user at some point. Now the version changes, everything changes. Your Terraform version gets changed, your Kubernetes version is different from what that person was using. So things may change, but at some stage that project was working. So I will just take an idea, add additional tools of my own choice that I want to learn, and then I will enhance this project. And that way I will learn a lot of concepts.
Is this clear so far?
Yeah, Saurabh.
Okay.
Can you share your GitHub?
Yeah, I'm coming to that.
Yeah.
Okay. Any somebody else was speaking as well. So who was it?
Yeah, that was me. I'm about to ask that GitHub name.
Yes, I'll. So it's all written in the document. I'll share with you after this presentation is done. Swati, you have a question?
Yes, Saurabh. Actually, my doubt is, suppose if I choose one of the project among these, and I want to learn familiarly more towards the cloud formation. So in that context, so instead of copying or doing whatever they have the cloud formation template, so I want to do it on my own.
Yep.
So on that basis, how do I get to know what particular services I need to use for that? So suppose if I'm particularly focusing on serverless, so mainly I'll be using AWS, I mean Lambda, DynamoDB, and all these services. So how I can make sure that so and so service, suppose DynamoDB, I have to choose so and so tables, and Lambda, like how I can get to know. So.
You have to determine as to what sort of tools do you want to use first, and then start to pick and choose which application suits it. So, for example, if you're just creating serverless, there might be very little work on infrastructure as code. But if you are using your EC2 instances, you will have to create your VPCs, subnets. You will have to then you have to pick and choose. That is why there is a list. There's a huge list of projects. You might have to go through a couple of them to identify which one do you want to. So not everybody would be working on CloudFormation and Terraform in the first instance. So in that case, you choose which one you want to go in. So for example, like if you're just using a static website on an AWS S3 bucket, so this looks like all it is doing is there is no EC2 instance, just a static website in here, right? So
Yes.
so it depends on what you want to do, which tool that you want to focus on first. You pick and choose that project out of it.
Okay. Suppose as a beginner level, if I think as a beginner level, so which would be better? Whether going to serverless is better for creating a template or getting into this traditional way, like using
I think
EC2
I think
and
I
all
think
this.
I think you should anyway start up with an EC2 because that is one
Okay.
of the most common templates that you would be using anyway. So I would recommend that start up with any web hosting which uses EC2. So like a Django web application or a simple web application using Ansible. Just have a look at any of these projects, and then you will get which one you want to do. So there are many simple ones. Some of them are a bit complex. So for example, I think deploying a Netflix application. So this one is like a moderate sort of complexity where you can, with this type of application, you can actually use all the different tools which I mentioned. So we've got somebody from our other group who has completed this assignment actually. So if you see this Netflix example, there's another sort of documentation that has been created by somebody else from the other group, and so this is the documentation that has been created. So this is something which is very different to what you see in. So this was the Netflix site. So this is something that is on the internet, but if you see this particular documentation which is created by another student, so this is completely different. The way he has done it, so installing using Trivi, right, and then using SonarQube, doing deployments in another way, deployments in a Kubernetes cluster. So this is the type of documentation that we eventually want you to create. So when you are doing these projects, you will be capturing the screenshots. Now, why we are doing this project? So there are two things that is happening in here. Number one is you will be getting a lot of different sort of learnings here. Number two, these projects will be then made available to the community. So both in terms of this documentation, as well as we would want you to create some sort of videos as well. So this is the type of documentation, and I'll share this documentation too. So this is a very detailed documentation. So when it is given to the community, so it can be via our YouTube channels or posting these repositories as public so that people can get an insight into this. So you'll be creating the similar sort of documentation, which is a step-by-step documentation. And also we would be needing a YouTube video for this, where you explain these projects completely as to whatever has been done in it. So it can be a 5-minute video to up to an hour video, whichever suits you, but describing the whole project and explaining it in a video as well.
Okay. Thank you, sir. One last question from my end. So in the process of from the coding, once the coding part is completed, so when does this infrastructure part comes into the table? Like in which stage it is going to come? So I just want to understand the flow of it. So of course, well, since I'm attending the interviews, I have good knowledge, little knowledge on cloud formation, but I'm not able to justify like in which situation I'm going to do the cloud formation work. Just a little process. So do I get the complete template, I mean, work procedure of what services and what things are to be set while I'm creating a cloud formation template?
Okay,
Or it is... Mhm.
Okay. Normally, what I have seen is whenever in an organization you are trying to put in a project, let's say from the scratch. So the first thing that they do is they create these. Let's say you need an EC2 instance, you need VPC subnets, you need different connectivity points, you need a database setup. So in the first instance, in a development environment, all these are created first manually in order to have a basic outline of what are the resources required. Once you know that these are the exact resources required, that is when you go ahead and start creating your cloud formation. The
Okay.
other way is some resources, but you're missing out on the other. In that case, you will have to keep on updating your cloud formation templates. Get all those resources initialized which you think are there, and then you keep on developing them. So both the methodologies work.
Okay. It is the architect who is going to tell me what I need to be used, what services I need to be used. It is like that.
Usually the cloud engineer, DevOps engineer will be part of the same team that is developing the application. So there's not much of, usually they are part of the same squad or same Scrum team. So when a developer is working on, say, a web app or Lambda function, then you would be working on its infrastructure in parallel. So it's usually hand in hand. You don't have to rely on architect to guide you. You are in the same team. You are working closely with the developers, understand what the Lambda they are writing. The Lambda will need to be deployed. It would need, will the Lambda be in a VPC? Then a VPC is needed. Does the Lambda access your S3 or Dynamo? Then a role has to be associated. So that's how you will define, you will identify your requirements yourself.
Okay, I got it.
And that's
Thank
how
you.
you will be implementing infrastructure for that. Now, the developer may ask that I need infrastructure right now. You don't have automation in place. So you end up creating manual. You say, okay, to unblock you, I will give you the infrastructure in manual way now, but I am in parallel working on an automation. Once that automation is ready, I will decommission the manual things that I'm doing, and I will use automation to create. And then your dev and account will be set up. Then QA will be entirely using automation you will set up. And then if you are confident, then production will be set up using automation as well.
Got it. Thank you, Sanjeev. Thank you, Saurabh.
All right. So coming back to the presentation, so we have so many projects that you can choose from. Now we have created a DevOps Cloud Labs organization. So in order to get access to that, just give me your user handle. So the first is provide your GitHub username to myself or Sanjeev. And what you need to do in order to get access to the repository, you need to create your SSH key. And so this is just a detail of how the SSH key would look like. You need to add it to your github.com profile. And so this is how you will be adding. So you go into your profile, your organization, SSH and GPG keys, new SSH. So this is something that type of menu that you will be seeing. So once you click a new SSH key here, You'll be able to put in the SSH key that was created on your instance. Let's say if it's an EC2 or even your own terminal, and then you add the key here. And then you'll be able to clone your repository using SSH. So you'll have to specifically use this particular SSH here, not the HTTPS, because you're adding SSH keys, and then you do a git clone. The first time when you're going in through the repository, which is on the internet, don't just fork it onto an organization here. What you need to do is just clone the internet repository, get a copy of it, and then you upload a fresh copy into the DevOps Cloud Labs repository. Otherwise, it will just always show that this particular repository from the DevOps Cloud Labs is always linked to the source organization. And because you'll be changing a lot of code, it's very possible that both of them are not linked together.
And another thing, like why we are making it complicated, that you work in this specific organization, create documentation, maybe create a video. All these things are in order to have some skill set in you. So for example, in any organization, when you will be working, it won't be the entire thing. You wouldn't be managing yourself. Here you will, if you're taking help from another one or two or three people are partnering together, creating a team, then you will have merge conflicts, some issues that somebody committed code, which you are also working on. So those kind of scenarios you will encounter, which you will not encounter if you are single alone working in your own repository. You will learn when you are documenting things that what is the importance of documentation. When you are recording your speaking and we are missing out on those 5 terms that we decided everybody will present 5 terms. So this will be an opportunity where you will be speaking about something. Speaking enables you to learn and remember things as well. So all these things are linked in one way or the other, and it's basically enhancing some skill or the other, which will benefit you in your entire career. So that is the objective. Whatever is the quality of your code, people can review, people can suggest. Whatever is the quality of your video, doesn't matter. Just give it a try. You don't need good equipment, or do your best, but you don't need massive investment or anything like that. Just go with what you have and try to speak about it. Try to make it more professional if possible. Use the professional words. Bring the right terminology that should be spoken at a work location or in any interview. Those are some of the objectives that we wanted to achieve from this process. But otherwise, what is happening is people attend this weekend session, and then we are not able to track who is working, who is actually building some projects, actually doing some hands-on, and that connect is not there. The benefit of this entire community is that you help someone, people will help you, and that way you learn. As an individual person, you are working, you are struggling, you will sometimes, I have seen people quitting also, that DevOps and cloud is not meant for me. I know there's no help, there is no guidance, and it's not meant for freshers or that kind of thing. We can make use of this community by helping each other. And in case somebody is asking questions and you know the answer, or you want to investigate, try to help that also. I've seen that in our community. There are less questions, which worries me. That means less hands-on is being done, and there are less questions, and there are even further less responses. If somebody is asking a question, try to respond, and then hope that you will also get a response when you are in some trouble.
George has got a question.
Yes, thank you, sir. I just need some clarification. So from what I'm seeing, there are about 5 repositories or so in the project that you're talking about, and you're asking us to clone the repository we prefer and
So you will be creating a repository. So this screenshot,
yes.
if you see here, so how do you create a repository? So though it's very obvious to many people, but in order to create a repository, just there's a create button there. You need to write the name of the project.
Yes, I understand. I understand all that. My question is, if you create a local repository, say you clone whatever project you're interested in just to have a local copy. And from what I'm understanding, we're creating a repository in this organization that is the DevOps Cloud Labs, correct? So meaning that everybody will pretty much have their own private repository in this organization.
That's
Is
correct.
that what?
Yep.
Okay, just wanted to clarify. So it's not like a collaborative thing. You'll have like individual
Let's start.
repositories.
Okay, I'll answer that.
Okay.
We would like you to collaborate and do it.
Okay.
But let's say you team up with 2 or 3 more people, and people team up together. I think that's a very good way to do it. So some people can be working on CI, others can work on having a security like SecOps in there. Somebody else would be writing in Docker file. So create one repository and multiple people can work in together. So that will be more helpful to you as well, so that you'll be working in a team with multiple people, and they can take on the different sections of the responsibility, right? So if
That would be perfect project execution. But I think there we will have to, you guys will have to form a group, conduct some sort of frequent meetings that a person X is delivering Terraform code or CloudFormation code. Person B is writing a Lambda function or a Docker file, and then that gets deployed onto that infrastructure. So it has to be collaborative. So before we reach to that level, right now, we can start with individual creating a new repository for themselves, taking help and that way collaborating. But eventually, the objective is that we will run using this organization. Our next project, when we do the official project for that we do or anything that we do, that is an opportunity where we will divide activities between different people and we'll run it as a proper project. So this is a one step closer to that phase that we want to reach.
Okay. Okay. Makes sense. Thank you.
So the projects that are selected, they can be done both ways. So if somebody wants to start up with himself or herself, then it can be a 1-person project, and then a single person can start integrating with as many tools that you see in here. But for a complex project, you can pick and choose which part of these tool sets that you want to do, which one will the other team member do, and then you can collaborate and do it as well. So either way, your choice how you want to do it. But this will be immensely helpful to you once you start integrating all these tools to have hands-on experience. Now, the advantage of this will be slowly the projects that you do here will start integrating with your CV as well. So whatever you do out of these, the learnings based on these tool sets and the integration, that will start forming up an answer to the interviews that you will be attending. So it's extremely important that you do these projects and not just be theoretical, but do it in hands-on. So this is how you create your GitHub repository. You can create your own GitHub repository, or you can team up, and then multiple people can contribute to the same repository using their feature branches. Always work in a project or feature branch and never on main, because if you create a repository, you will be given the permission to work on main if you want to, but don't do that. So merge to main will be done once the project is complete and it's all finalized. Right, so these are the list of projects. There's a sample README file as well that was created by one of the students. So this is how, once you are putting up your repository and once you're reaching towards the finalization, so this is the type of README that you would want to be in here. So for example, you've got table of contents. You've got some couple of screenshots from the app that was done. There's also a screenshot of this architecture that is in there. So you'll be drawing up this architecture in any of the drawing tool that you want, and then you can put it in. The README will also contain what are the prerequisites, what are the steps to do that. So you can have a look at this README as to how this was created, and probably put in some steps as well. So for example, we also use SonarQube and Trivy. So steps to do that, installation of Trivy. So I'll be providing all these links. You can have a look at it at your leisure time. But this is one of the good README documentation that you need to do. And so I'll provide you with sample README with the sample project file, which I just showed as well. Now, few tips. So what is going to happen in this? So first is do not fork from the source repository. You may clone from the source to your local and then upload a fresh copy into the new repository. So when you're preparing videos, so now this is something that is going to be into the community. So just 2 lines that you are this such and such from DevOps Cloud community, and today we'll be working on. So this is something which to start up with your video. Now, what will happen to the videos that you create? So the videos created by you will be uploaded to the DevOps Cloud Labs YouTube channel, and do not upload it to any other YouTube channel because otherwise we would not be posting it. And you just need to share it using the Google Drive, where we'll use our editor to actually give it more professional touch. The benefits there will be benefits to you once your video is loaded to the channel, because what you can do is once your video is published, you can mention your video URL and the GitHub repository in a specific section in your CV. So you'll have a specific section in CV where you can put in some resources. So this will give your CV more credibility. And normally the interviewers, they tend to glance at whatever links that you have provided in the CV. So your future interviewers would know beforehand that you are knowledgeable about a tech stack, which I mentioned in the videos and in the GitHub repository. So that is one advantage that you will get. The second is uploading to our channel. It's got multiple subscribers. They're increasing. Currently, we've got 40K. They're increasing every day. And so because your video on the channel will be, it's reaching out to a lot many people. It will be quality content. It will provide more value to your profile as well. So try to make some decent quality videos. Put in a lot of technical jargons in it, because this is going to be your showcase to your interviews, like future interviews. So these are the links that you will be adding in your CV, and don't underestimate the value of a good link that you are providing. So both in terms of GitHub repositories and also where something you are explaining it to the public. Also, this will be a contribution to the community too. So this is what I had to say. I know that there are many projects in here, but I've kept them on purpose so that everybody they can just pick and choose, go through the projects. But I think once you scroll down to 10 odd projects, you will get a very good idea of which one do you want to start with. So, all right. So this is all that I had to say in here. So any more feedback from anyone? Does it look exciting to anybody? No?
Hi, Saurabh.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's very exciting and hands-on will be beneficial for all of us. My question was that for someone who is completely new to most of the platforms which are mentioned here, like I have been preparing for AWS Solution Architect and I have studied most of the services covered in that. But apart from that, I'm not aware about other platforms and tools here. So, like, do I need any like any practice, or there should be any roadmap that I should be covering these tools in a particular sequence?
See, if you don't have much idea about these tools, I would suggest that you start with whatever is the documentation that is given online. So at least you will have one way of working. And if you look at the multiple different types of projects, they by themselves, they cover up to a certain limit a few of these tools. Some of the documentation on internet they will guide you as well as to how do you install Jenkins, what are the exact steps that you need to do. But most of these tools we have already covered. The base ones we have already covered in our DevOps bootcamp. So I'm not sure if you are a part of it.
Actually, this is my first session. I recently joined the mentorship program, but yeah, I'll try to go through that also.
So bootcamp is it's not necessarily a prerequisite, but we have explained a lot of things in there.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
All right. So I think everybody should give it a try, and at least in 3-4 weeks they should come up with a working demo of these projects, because these hands-on exercises will be immensely helpful to you. Everybody has got uh, everybody's CV will be aligned to all these different tools eventually. So the more that you work on these hands-on, the more you will be able to articulate your projects from these learnings. So I'll be sharing this presentation after this catch up. All right. Anything else, guys? Yeah, Parag.
Yeah, another small question. Is there any particular separate group for students who have subscribed for mentorship program, a WhatsApp group?
So WhatsApp, normally all the mentorship guys, they use Slack.
Okay.
There's WhatsApp,
There's WhatsApp too, but
but for messages.
Because there is one WhatsApp group with name DevOps and Cloud Labs #5. I think those groups are numbered, but it has members ranging from around 300 to 400 people. So I was wondering if
no,
any.
there's a separate mentorship group for WhatsApp.
Yeah, so like I'm not able to find the link for that. If you can just post it on the Slack or yeah. Thank you.
Hello, Saurabh.
Yes, Satya.
Yeah, you know that I'm a fresher. Can you just make a note as a easy process so that I can start with some, make me comfortable doing it.
We
You have 50
price
projects.
the project for entry level, maybe.
Sorry?
Is that the ask? We can identify some simple project.
Yeah. Out of 50, can you make sure, can you tell me which are the easy ones so that I can start and, make myself comfortable,
I think
out of 50?
the way, if you see in most of the projects, if you do it the way that they have asked and they have suggested, all of them are easy. Because all you need to do is run those commands, and applications will work. Where it gets
that's fine.
Yeah, so where it gets tricky is when you are introducing new tools, then you have to find a way to integrate those new tools and to install those new tools, and then it starts getting tricky. So if you ask me, all these projects are easy if you do it the way that they are telling you.
Okay.
And
so, yeah, because I've just one more thing to say. All the mentorship members, if we can collaborate, like we did a couple of times in the study group 4, it's more easy. But I find it easy there communicating with the other people and doing it in a group. Yeah, this is
I think
everyone.
working in a group is a great idea, and should be doing it.
And it helped me as a fresher, and I learned from a lot of people from experienced people. So I just want to say to everyone, please collaborate, and it's good for everyone.
So there's number to every project. If you select some project, just post it in Slack that you are working on project 3 and somebody wants to join. That is a good starting point. And if people are working on a common project, that would give you real benefits of having a shared Git repository, those merge conflicts. You don't have to spend a lot of time learning Git and Linux separately, right? You just work on few projects in this environment and you are expert. So make use of this.
Yeah, so write down the number of the project and what you're working on, and a couple of people might choose to work on the same project as well. So, and then you can work together. Okay.
Thank you anyway.
All right. Don't underestimate the power of having good links in your profile. So I would recommend that everybody who is serious about the next job search, they should be working on this. Plus, Plus the value that you will get, the knowledge that you will get integrating all these different tools, that will be very helpful in your interviews. All right, that's all from me. Sanjeev, you have got anything else to add before we close down?
No, I think we had good session, and we also had like these projects starting. So nothing to add. Just make sure that you are working and collaborating in the group and helping each other and helping yourself as well. Just an idle group or no messages in the group, no discussions happening, then that worries me more. But whatever you are learning, even if you are learning anything outside of group or you have any questions, just keep it interactive, keep posting something, and we don't wait for me and Saurabh to respond all the time. Like help each other also.
Yeah, if somebody has basically put in any questions, try to answer it, guys. So I see
If you
that.
know anything, yeah.
Yeah, some of them do not have any responses, and yeah, I think it's all mutual, because if you have any question, you would expect people to answer, so you should be answering the same as well for others.
Sanjeev?
Praveen, yep.
Yeah, Sanjeev, can you share me that PPT, AWS
Everything
PPT?
will be shared. Yeah, we will share all this in the WhatsApp groups now.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Sanjeev. Yeah, thanks.
All right then, guys. So that's it for today. All right, we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
Bye.
you. Thank you.